My loves, are you guys ready for one of my favorite people on the planet? This is Sloane. One name, that's all you get. Just the first name, because that's all she needs. She's that fabulous. Oh my God, I love you. Sloane, I invited you on because I've genuinely, I say this with all my heart, I've never met anyone that communicates as well as you do. I kid, that's not even like fluffing. You have a mastery level communication skills. I can't even fathom how much work you've done to get here, but you have studied and you know your shit and you can guide people through their trauma or whatever is coming up in such a way that is like it's such high level mastery emotional intelligence that I want my audience to like experience some of your wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I've been through the fire.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're someone that also strives for excellence. And I've always admired you for that because I'm kind of like a good enough. We talked about this before. Like I've always like been a B plus student. Like, hey, 85% of the knowledge. I'm stoked. Like, right. I passed. I'm good. What's next? And you're like, no, 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 mastery, excellence. And you like really show up in every way, the way you put yourself together, the way you communicate, the way you present yourself. I mean, literally in everything you like your TED talk. I mean, mastery, mastery, excellent level of operating. And I really admire you for that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying the deep, soulful conversations that you and I
Mm,
have, and now to bring it to this conversation is really special.
yeah. We don't actually know where we're gonna go with this. So boundaries is definitely gonna be part of it. Communicating your boundaries, I think, is extremely important. So maybe should we start there and see
Let's
where
do
we
it.
go? Okay, what does that even mean to you? What is a boundary?
It's that structure. I think like I'm going to put a boundary, make boundaries, and people are afraid of what it means in relationships. And probably we've all had experiences where you put a boundary and then the person gets upset or the relationship falls apart, or, I know you've experienced
Hmm.
that. So there's a lot of heaviness around boundaries, and I like to think of it as a structure that I use to take care of myself. And when we think of it that way, that's actually the foundation of having flow and ease and joy and creativity and a lot of goodness in your life.
It's beautiful. I can relate to this because what's coming up for me is I went through a breathwork session and someone was guiding me and they touched me right in the moment when I didn't want them to because I was really in my process. I was like, you could see, I was like, I was getting so much out. And he touched me and I didn't stop him. I didn't push his hand away for like people pleasing or whatever it was, right? And I realized that's why I can't trust me. Because I can't trust that I'm going to set a boundary and say no to someone when I don't want something.
Years ago, I didn't even realize that people touched me all the time. So I'd be at the pizza restaurant and talking to someone, and they're like, yeah, and this, and touching me. And I was working with these mentors who sort of made me even become conscious of that. And I realized I used to touch people all the time without permission and without really thinking about it. And this thing that with women, what you're sharing, that actually just happened to me last week. I
Hmm.
met with someone, we were sitting there talking, and it was like a friend connect. And there were two times where he did that. He reached out and he was like, da da da. And I, in the moment, was sort of like, oh, and it didn't feel right. But I did
Hmm.
say, could you please not touch me? So this is still something that I'm working on too. And for me, in the like intimate connection, and I think usually with men, is still where the biggest challenge is.
Yeah, because that's received so harshly.
Yes.
Like if I were on the receiving end of that, I'd be like, it would almost end the relationship for me. I'd be like, wow, you can't even receive touch from me. Like, what is that? Like, and then it feels like such rejection in the moment that I'd be offended, and I'd be hurt. Like, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
all the things.
I was thinking meeting with this kind of random friendish person and I didn't say anything. And I realized it's because in that moment, I didn't want it to seem like I was rigid or this like frigid woman of just like, you can't touch me. And this story that I have, the narrative that we get as women, that was part of why I didn't speak up in that case.
I wonder if there's a way of speaking up in that moment that would have landed in a way like, huh, I'm noticing that I wasn't ready for your touch.
Do it is like, I would just leave unless we talk about it. I could just say
Mm,
something like even a little lighthearted and playful. I didn't have it in that moment.
yeah,
And
yeah.
didn't say anything.
And it's in those moments when it's kind of like by surprise that you have to speak up.
Right.
Uh,
That's the practice.
right. And but like still choosing to speak up in a graceful way, in a way that may, well, yeah, it's still fear of repercussions that
Totally.
stopping us.
And I think also it's really helpful to be gentle with the self. When
Mm.
I was developing this awareness of people touching me, I went through months of where I had become aware of it and I wouldn't say anything. I couldn't say anything. And I was really beating up on myself about it. And what I finally realized is like, this is a big thing. I never had a dad or anybody teach me that people shouldn't touch me, that I should be thinking about my physical body. I mean, I wasn't even in my body, which has been
Mm.
still life's work for me. And so it's like also how gentle can we be with ourselves? And leaving that meeting, I wasn't beating up on myself, which is big growth from where I came from. But also, I just got curious.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, what was going on? And I think we need to be really gentle with ourselves
Yeah.
because there's so much of the culture and then family and all these things, unless you were raised in a really conscious way, that you aren't in touch with being able to notice that in the moment, speak up. And then we have a trauma response, which in my case was like a freeze.
Yeah.
It sounds like yours was a version of
Yeah,
that too.
yeah, I freeze. Wait, can you go into this not in your body part? Because I think that's really, there's some juicy nuggets there.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, I've had just a client came to me, she's very logical. Every decision is made with her head. And I was like, your practice for the week is literally tuning into your body for every decision. Whether or not you're going to have tea, whether or not you're going to go to a coffee shop, or like each decision throughout the day, is this right for my body? And I just like, I had her practice all week long. But is that what you're referring to? Like, not in your body? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, it would be a lot of us, and what's revered in our culture is to be just completely thinking. The mental way of being, the intellectual, the thinking is what's revered, celebrated, paid. And so, not all the time, but in
Hmm.
a big way. And so, being in your body to me is actually feeling the sensation of your body. I do Vipassana meditation, which is the meditation that the Buddha used to become enlightened. And it's basically all you do to start is become aware in a segment of your body of the sensations that are going. And as soon as you feel a little tingle or something, you move on to the next segment and you go through the whole body. And what I realized when I first started doing this meditation is that we all have these blank spots. Maybe
Mm.
not all, but most people who don't do
Yeah,
this have
yeah.
blank spots on their bodies where you literally cannot feel it anymore because you're so out of practice with noticing that part of your body.
Wow.
And then as you do it more and more and you get used to feeling all the different parts, what I think we really at its core are trying to avoid feeling is our feelings
Mm.
because pain, sadness, sorrow, anger, that's an uncomfortable physical sensation. And so the more you feel your body, the more you have to feel those feelings, which is
Yeah.
actually really healthy. And we're meant to do that. We have a powerful inner guidance system, which I know you know,
Yeah.
but we're so used to like trying to get away from that feeling and trying to cut it off that we end up sort of operating like a big head and
Yeah.
our body's just dangling off it. And I certainly was living like that. I wasn't even conscious like of feeling what was going on in here.
Wow. It's a big part of my teaching, and what I find so valuable in the cleanse that we put people through is it's all about tuning into your body. And because we're literally not taught. We're not taught to use intuition. We're not taught to use this vessel is magnificent. Like we are literally a tuning fork to all sorts of things that we want to create and manifest in our lives and call in, but also like the stored emotions in this body that you're saying. Like, yeah, like how often do you tune into like the back of your arm? Unless you're doing a tricep extension, you'd never think of it.
Music and hearing the teacher and you're just like doing it still in your head.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that so much about your work, and I
Yeah.
love the way you do it, especially with the cleanse and the clean food. And it's so underestimated, and I also think misunderstood the power of our bodies.
Yeah.
And I'm just a beginner, I feel like, of understanding the wisdom of this body. And like you
Mm.
said, this magnificent vehicle vessel, but she has a wisdom of her own
Yeah.
that it's really interesting. You can only go so far without accessing that and understanding that aspect of yourself and
Mm.
tuning with that aspect of ourselves.
Yeah. And also getting some of that trauma out. Like, we store that trauma and then you have this reaction, right? to things, and we don't even realize when we're crumbling down sometimes. If you just start to pay attention to your posture in this moment, like where are your shoulders? Are they forward? Are they back? Forward is an indication that you're protecting your heart. Can we open up and be in a more of a receptive mode? Is your spine really tall that's your channel. That's like literally the antenna in your body to connect to spirit, to connect to the guidance, right? And so that's why meditators sit in a yogi position, is to create that clear channel, and we don't use these things.
For it's key to really being fulfilled and living your purpose in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Huge. Okay, so what are your favorite? You just said one practice that you do to support. That's a beautiful one. It's like a body scan, essentially, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Are there any other techniques that people should know?
For
Getting into your body more and like,
Well, the one you were bringing up is huge. What is my body's response to the things that I'm going to do? And sometimes I take that down to what I'm going to eat, to the plans that I have, to anything. Making
everything.
this phone call.
Yeah.
And to me, the body communicates with ease in a yes no kind of way.
Yep.
And I think everybody experiences that differently based on your design and who you are. But ultimately, we have access to the yes no. And one of the books that I love so much, did you read Map of Consciousness?
No, but that sounds yum. Ooh.
So he was a very successful psychiatrist in the state of New York, and he became enlightened. And the interesting thing about that is he understood the human psyche from his psychiatry training. And then he was able to explain enlightenment and what he was experiencing and understanding on a level that most people who are enlightened, they're just being who they are, but they
Right.
can't teach in that way.
Wow.
And so he wrote many books, but the Map of Consciousness was he was doing basically muscle testing with the body and came to understand that our bodies are, he called it like a computer terminal hooked into all information that ever was and ever is.
Yeah.
And we have access to every answer that we could ever want through our physical bodies.
Yeah.
It's just getting to know the body enough to understand her answers to the questions being presented. So
Yeah.
that really struck me. And again, I'm just really, I'm very in touch with my intuition and inner guidance. But the closer that I get to something, the more emotional I feel about it. The more emotional I feel about it, the more I tend to have an answer that's up here in my head instead of the truth of the body.
Isn't that interesting? I want to give a quick practice because this is really important for. I'll share what works for me, and then you've really got to find what works for you. But for me, it's taking a few deep breaths and tuning into my torso. I don't even have to do the free deep. Once you get accustomed to this practice, it's so quick. But in the beginning, when you're really trying to learn how to tune into your body, what is your yes and what is your no? For me, a yes feels very light and airy. It's just like there's like spaciousness in my torso, and a no is like almost crunchy. It's like heavy energy. I say it's like you want to poop. It has this like sensation. Now it's like I hear it. Yes, no. I've gotten that in tune. But it's so important to do this work, and you can start practicing with things that you know are good for you or not good for you. Like put, coffee in your if you know coffee is not good for you, or something that you know is not good for you, and ask, like, put it in your hand, is this good for me? And you'll get the yes, no, and you'll start to learn what that feels like, and then practice with the yeses. And then literally, like you're saying, throughout your day, practice this technique with everything. Is this project a yes for me? Is this phone call, this call is coming in. Do I want to take this call? Yes, no. And then the key is to trust what you hear, right? Like, how many times have we heard our intuition? We're like, damn it, I wish I listened to my intuition. Right. You override, your brain overrides. Oh, but it's okay. They need me. I should show up for them. I want to cook it. Yeah.
Where the ideas feel open, it feels like possibilities, versus for a no feels more like closed.
Yeah, and I really honor you because you a few times, like, I wanted to like hang out or whatever. You're like, I'm sorry, I'm getting a no, But then I honor you and respect you more for that, and I actually value when you say yes even more. So we're so stuck in this dynamic of people pleasing, but we don't realize that we're actually cutting ourselves off from our own credibility when we do that. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Made up of your full yeses.
Yeah.
And I even have an intuitive guide who I work with sometimes that she is literally all she gives me is yes no. So we can only work in yes no type of questions, but I've actually used my and I continue to use my relationship with her for me to get more clear on those places where I override. And one of those for me is actually programs and coaching and courses. And one thing I can do is overcommit with that, which also includes overcommitting on my time and then my money. And so I've started to work with her, and I've had multiple times where
Mm.
it was like what you and I are saying. She's like, it's a no or it's a low yes. Do this thing, but I can sense what she's saying. And
Mm.
maybe it's because now's not a good time to spend the money, and maybe
Right.
I don't really have the time, and whatever it is. So I'm learning in those subtle places that tend to be more of a gray area for me to tune into what the no feels like, because we've all in this culture developed a really strong like will override. We're not taught, like you were saying, to understand intuition and to follow
Yeah.
that. Just also like you're saying, most people, if someone's like, oh, it feels like a no, that's rude.
Yeah.
So I really honor you that you're like, okay, that's Sloan, I'm just gonna go with it and you love
I
me for
love it.
it.
I love it. I'm like, you're teaching me how to be in my truth. To me, this is being in your truth. Like, I know that I will never get bullshit out of you. Like, you're never gonna bullshit me. You're never gonna appease me. You're not gonna like try and like say the thing that like I want to hear. you know, and thank you. Like that's the type of loyal friend to me. That's loyalty. I can trust you. I can trust you
Yeah,
because of that. Yeah.
we say the hard thing, we say what we see, we say what we feel, and it's not like I'm going to tell you how I feel, and it's
Right.
not trying to be rude,
Yeah.
but it is like I care enough about you to be honest.
Yeah. Beautiful. No, I feel it. And I love it. I do want to talk about boundaries. Yeah, I would love to talk more about boundaries because I understand now that boundaries are only boundaries if they have a consequence attached to them. So, like saying, I don't like that you do that is not a strong enough, that's not a boundary. That's a preference.
Yes, yes,
And to know the difference.
yes.
Can you go there?
And leave
Hmm.
one experiencing what they
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge.
want.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that. Because like you said, Nikki, if you do that again, I'm actually not going to continue on a phone call with you, for example.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And at the same time, that's how we teach people how to treat us.
Right. Yeah. So true.
To me, the ultimate challenge with boundaries, the ultimate sorrow with boundaries, I didn't grow up with any boundaries. He was an alcoholic, he is an alcoholic, and I mean, there was nothing. If you love me, you do what I want, was more of the vibe in my
Hmm.
family growing up.
Yep.
So
Yep.
ultimately, in our relationship, for him, me doing,
Right.
and he was never able to move past that to the place where we're not in a relationship anymore, which is what I chose ultimately. But he was choosing to just see that in me, and
Hmm.
we couldn't meet on what could be okay in terms of boundaries. And so I'm bringing this up now to share that I really understand that there can be a consequence with boundaries. And I sort of walked into what I think is like the hardest, most challenging consequence. And it's the only way that I could say, Sloane, I'm here for you and I'm going to take care of them and be there for them and respect them and do all these things. And actually, all the other people are just really reflecting how you're being with you. That's the most
Hmm.
they can do.
Wow. Huge. Huge. So if you're allowing someone in your life that is mistreating you or right or not operating in a way that is in alignment with how you want to show up and you allow it, right? You give it space in your life, then it's actually a reflection of you, of me. Wow. Holy shit.
So once you start saying, this is my actual standard for how I treat me, then it can be really tender to be like, I love you. I want you to be in my life. I want to be around you. I want to have this connection. And if you're not available for that, then we're not going to have that.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig here because this is very relatable. So, obviously, in business with my mama, who, when I said we need to set some boundaries, she said, "What boundaries? I'm your mother."
So,
So boundaries are not respected in the culture she comes from. And yet, so that already feels becomes even more of a, it's easy to work with someone that wants to respect your boundaries. Yeah, your boundaries are welcome. You're like, yeah, no. Okay, so how do we operate when we're with someone that doesn't respect boundaries, right? Very different experience in navigating, and often what, right? Like with your father, like he didn't want to respect your boundaries. Okay, I'm sorry, Papa. The consequences, you're out, right? Until you're willing to like show up differently, and he has choice in this. The door is open if he were to show up differently. Yeah. So with my mother, we operate very differently. She comes from kind of an older world, scarcity mindset. Lives, I love you, mother, but lives in victim land if things aren't done her way, right? It's an indication that I don't love her, right? When I set my boundaries, and the way I want to run this business is very different. So I'm sure I'm sharing this because I'm sure other people are experiencing, right? Similar dynamics where either the way they run their business, the way they run their lives, the way they raise their kids, someone in their life doesn't agree with and wants to influence very strongly. Right? How do I navigate that when she has her ideas of how this business needs to be run, and then I have my ideas that are being told they're either too expensive or, not that I'm just not being respected for how I want to. And then it's like, it's almost like co parenting where you don't actually get to be the parent you really want to be because you've got to navigate this dynamic where, like, I've got to make it okay safe for them to play in this arena too. So I find myself watering myself down and like not setting clear boundaries as to her when she has a desire for something for me. It is not just communicated once, it is badgered daily until it's done her way. And I the only way I've experienced to get her to stop is to like meet her with equal or greater force in return, and then we spiral into victim land drama. Right. And then there's silence mode and all the, that wave we get to go through. But kindness doesn't land. And so I think I'm missing the boundary, this element of the boundary of setting the consequence.
Yeah, it's really good awareness. I think it actually begins with something you said about this is like co-parenting. So are you actually both 50-50 partners?
No, I own the business 100%, but she's funded the business. She's helped me set it up.
Is it given piece by piece?
No, it has been given. It's complete. The business has been paying for itself since we opened, and she claims there's no desire to get the money back. It was a gift, but I feel like the gift has strings.
You're the owner.
Yeah.
The money has been given. It was given as a gift, and it's
Hmm.
because the truth is it's your business. She did give the gift, and she did tell you it's meant to be a gift also.
Right.
So, in the case of, can we give a specific example? Is it like a marketing thing you want to do?
Yeah, she's adamant about like having the flyers on every single table about all the different things that we offer here, which is a lot. We've got the restaurant, the detox, the chef certification, the catering. Like there's 5 different businesses under one roof. And she wants me to market all of them at all times. You can't. I'm spread thin. I'm not doing a good job at any of them, right? And yeah, and she's adamant that I wrap my car now. So the flyers are on the table. Now I got to wrap my car. Like every day there's a new like requirement, otherwise we're going to fail. Failing. She's afraid of like it's a money thing. Like we're not making enough money. We're doing great. We're a brand new business covering all our costs and then some. Like we're doing great. Right.
Also, that's not your reality. Then, to me, the next step is it's like, how important is it to you? Because I agree with you on a like business marketing level. Also, a confused mind never buys. So if you have 50 choices
Right.
on the table, people
Right.
are like, oh, that's cool. But nobody's really like, maybe once in a while, nobody's
Yeah.
really digging into all those things. You have a clear business decision and you have clarity. To me, the boundary isn't as important if it's something that you could compromise on. Maybe you'd already been thinking of wrapping your car.
I have. It's on the list, but I mean, like not excessively, but just like it's a good
It
thing.
actually feels really important to her. I was thinking of it anyway. I'm going to go for it. But the table thing, you're just a no.
Mm.
That's where we need a boundary.
Mm.
So, what would be something that you could say about your clarity about the table advertisements and what you're available for now with this going forward? And you don't have to put the boundary yet, but what's the piece do you want now going forward that you've made the decision that's different than what she wants?
So I put the flyers on alternating tables. She wants them on all of them. So I kind of negotiated there to where like on every table it looks trashy in my opinion. Like it just looks cluttered and I don't like it. So I've kind of like negotiated that at like every other table where people often sit, there's like the flyer of our story. And it does land. People love it. So that was like a little bit of a negotiation. No, she still pushes for them being on every table. Yeah.
Are you
No.
So that would be the first thing that you get clarity on, like, I'm actually not available to talk about this anymore. And then what if she does talk about it? What's your action that you're going to do?
Okay, so like a therapist would say walk away. I'm gonna like disassociate, like walk away from her presence. But that doesn't work. She just comes back the next day.
And so, but the thing is, again and again.
Right, right.
So, and the
Mm,
next time it gets brought up, you walk away. And let's say every day it keeps happening. Then the question within is like, do I need a new boundary? Hey, if you keep badgering me about this every single day, we might have to start to make separate working schedules to talk about the things on the tables.
right.
Do you need support? Do you need a therapist? I'm happy to help you get some help,
Mm.
but I'm not available to talk about the ads on the tables now.
And her reaction is, you just need to do it.
I think part of the place it sounds like maybe you get pulled under is when you think of it like co-parenting, because it's not. Co-parenting is two people have chosen to have a child together, and the child is made of both of them. And anyway, there's
Yeah,
dynamics in that. This is a business that is it's like you had a baby,
right.
and she happened to
Be along for the
donate her
ride.
baby.
She donated baby food. A lot of baby. Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. Yeah, and what sucks is the reaction I'm having is it creates such separation that she's not honoring me and the way I want to run this and not like giving me I want the space to like actually show myself and her and that I can the way my way will actually produce the results that we both desire.
I think something you just mentioned is really important for us to bring up, which is I have clients all the time who, once we start really getting into their codependence, because this is common. I mean, most people have issues, hooks, things with codependence. When we first start getting into it, their experience of me is like very confused because on one hand, they know I love them. They know I'm there for them. They know I'm all like so much heart in about them as a human being. And then on the other hand, they're experiencing that I seem cold or withdrawn or they want to make a story that I don't love them. And this is a really good part of coaching when we finally get into that because what's happening is people having an experience of a relationship that's not built in codependence.
Mm.
And at first when you're going out of it and I know because this is deeply the way I was raised, it feels cold.
Yeah.
It feels like you're rude or cold or you don't care about me. And that's part of the passage that we have
Yeah.
to go through is it feels like no more love when the way I experience love is through codependence.
Wow.
It's
Huge.
natural to feel like that. That's that needed is a bit of a like that disconnect and it feels so uncomfortable. That's necessary to shift out of that dynamic.
Yeah.
It sucks sometimes, especially in the short term, but in the long term, it does mean a different kind of relationship
Yeah.
because we're not relating based on what I think you need and what I think you should do for me and all those hooks that keep us very stuck and small.
Yeah, I really want to dive into this codependence because we had an experience, if I may share. I was in a really needy place in my life. It was like my I call it my 2 year what's a life crisis, midlife crisis. I had that, and I remember reaching out to you, and you weren't available for me. Like you just did not want to make space for me, and it hurt. Like it felt very cold. It felt like wow, she just doesn't value my friendship. And later, it was like a few months later, we went on a walk and you're like, no, it felt very codependent energy. And what you explained it to me was it felt like if I didn't operate and perform in a way that you wanted me to, there was conditional. It was like the love was conditional. And it landed for me in that moment of like, oh yeah, I wanted you to like want to engage with me all the time. I wanted your attention, and you just weren't available for that. You didn't have the capacity in that moment. You had a lot of things going on, and yeah, it was you helped me see how I really set up this codependence, and I operate from a place of codependence. It was really supportive. So, can you share a bit more about your experience of that and how you were able to hold that? Because that was strong of you.
Well, yeah, and all this me, when I feel that from someone, I'm just like, no, I don't want that. And so when I was feeling that energy from you of like wanting to take or like wanting
Needing.
yeah, needing all that from me. I was, again, you are such an amazing person that you asked about it and we talked about it and you told me you had hurt feelings about it. And then we got to talk and I could explain.
I was like, you don't love me. So you shared with me an exercise that you did to support you in breaking free of this, and I thought it was so incredibly powerful. So, like when you were sitting next to a man that you were interested in, for example, and you started to feel like the desire for his attention, and you like wanted, like you're kind of like pulling on his energy, you would actually intentionally move your chair further away from him. And I was like, ooh.
This is like codependence or anxious attachment or any of those. If you have those things, the healing path is actually to not receive in those moments when you feel like you need something from someone, but to get it from yourself.
Yeah.
Or if you have anxious avoidant, it's a different path. But for what we're talking
Yeah.
about is self-soothing, self-nourishing and filling, and then go into relationship when you're full. And it doesn't mean you have to be all put together. That's not what we're talking about. But it does mean like I'm not trying to get someone else to make me feel better.
Yeah. And it's asking the question in that moment, like, what do I need from them? And how can I give it to myself? Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't mean like we don't need anything from anyone ever, right? Of course we do. And it feels good to get love and receive. But can you do it from a place where it feels like your cup's already full, right? I'm already full of love, and some of yours would be also nice. Like additionally. Yeah.
And maybe I don't feel totally filled up and nourished and everything's amazing. But the difference with that question is, are you allowed to say yes or no? And as long as you're allowed to say no, then that's okay. Like, I'm going to be okay if you say no.
Yeah.
Then that's clean and clear.
Right.
But it's when we need, like, I need you to do this for me. And I see this a lot of times with people in
Yeah.
their intimate relationships is I need you to be a certain way. I need you to say a certain thing. I need you to touch me here. I need you to make me feel better on this. And then we start building up all these requirements and resentments and things instead of just being free to be ourselves in relationship.
Yeah. And if the person says, I'm not available for that in the moment, you don't crumble, right? Your like whole identity. Yeah. Okay, support someone that's in a codependent relationship dynamic that doesn't want to be anymore. They can set their own boundaries, but the other person's really not like ready for that, right? They want the codependency. Like it's working for them to some degree. How do you support them in navigating? It's more of what we're just talking about, but like give a like yeah.
I think the first thing is just to start to understand what is it that I need to take care of myself and to know that like I've got my back. And there are what I find a lot of times in codependent relationships is there's a lot of things that haven't been said. And that's kind of lays the foundation of what the relationship is. And so when I'm working with clients, a lot of times the place that we start is what needs to be communicated.
Oof. Yeah.
That's one of the hardest things is like you were saying earlier, we're so used to being pleasing, to be nice. I don't want to hurt them. And what ends up happening is we build ourselves into a tower of loneliness because if you can't say the truth of what you feel, even if it's messy and it's not all perfectly said or whatever, if you can't say the truth of what you feel, you end up feeling really lonely. And for that too, I have been there.
Yeah.
I understand it. And so that's why I understand how important it is.
Unspoken expectations, I think, are the root of
things I don't enjoy about this or relationship. Just all the places that we tiptoe or walk around on eggshells with each other is like, what if you're in relationships where you say the thing? And one of the things I loved so much about you from the start of when we met, you said, I like to be in relationships where we don't have thorns. I have used that so many times with friends, describing this thing of we don't let things fester.
Oh, I like clearing the air right away. Yeah. I don't do this whole like go to sleep mad thing. Like no. If there's something I feel energetic, like I have to communicate it or like loops. I loop. It's my anti-looping technique. Yeah. And the way I've learned to say it in the most effective way is I'm noticing I'm creating a story about this. Like when I experience you do this, I'm noticing That I am creating a story that you don't love me,
So
right?
good
That when you
because
don't make space for me, you don't, that I'm, right? Versus you're not making space for me, you don't love me. That's an attack. Versus I'm noticing that I'm creating a story that could be true or probably not true. Help me navigate this because I want to have a different story. I want to believe that you love me.
that's taking responsibility first for your experience and then bringing it to the relationship of like, can we look at this?
Yeah. 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 Beautiful.
Yeah.
Ah, oh my goodness. Okay. What are the like main reasons people come to you for your coaching? I want you to sell yourself a little bit. Like what is your genius? Like why does someone need to turn to you for your support?
People who come to me usually on the outside look like they have it all. Have either a great family life, great businesses, great things happening in their lives. And a lot of people are probably like, wow, you've made it. And then behind the scenes, either the marriage or the business doesn't look as amazing as it's portrayed, either financially or in the relationship or having sex, or women who feel like I've achieved so much, I've accomplished so much, but this can't be all there is, or I still know more is possible. I don't feel like I'm there yet. And they're usually people who have done a lot of coaching and healing and therapy and everything and are just ready to like arrive and to be at the place that they know is possible in their lives and their relationships and their businesses. So I host women's retreats and I also do private consulting. And when the work that I do, everything's on the table. So I used to be a corporate lawyer. I've coached hundreds of entrepreneurs and I have mastery in helping people create business success. So when we work together, we can look at what's not working in the business the same way we can look at what's not working in your sex life. And either way is like a way into what's the deepest thing that needs to shift, heal, released as a blind spot for you to actually step into your fullest potential in this life.
Yeah. Huge. Huge.
It's
I'm
very
so lucky you're my friend. Yeah. Such a blessing. Okay, so how can people find you? What's the best way? How can they learn more about your retreats or juicy? I know they are. Women rave about them.
I would say on Instagram and Sloane with an E on the end. And or my website is therealsloane.com.
TheRealSloan.com. I love it. What a blessing. Any final thoughts that you want to share? You feel complete.
I think with saying that those desires that we have for either I wish I could have this amazing relationship or I want my business to be this certain way or I wish it could be this way with my mom or whatever it
Mm,
is. To me, those are always pointing to what more is possible in our life. And
mm,
if it's available to instead of making it wrong that I don't have that or it's not going the way I want, to instead be like, that is my inner guidance showing me a path. And part of my life adventure is to find that path and explore and become the person who is having that experience that I really want, then life can be so exciting and juicy and just truly like an adventure.
amazing.
So if we
Amazing.
can just like hold on to that, and even amongst all the personal growth and all the trauma and all the crazy things, that is so enormous. And if we can still hold on to that, knowing I have experienced that in my own life again and again, and with many, many women around the world, and it is possible what you really desire.
And for me, it's the shifting of questions. So if you're asking what's wrong with me or why don't I have this yet? Wrong question. It's negative, first of all. So you're just going to stay in the don't. I don't have. All right. Instead, what is possible for me here? And I like to call spirit in for guidance, right? Because I heard once angels cannot intervene, they must be assigned an assignment. So show me a really clear sign today of what's possible for me in this area. Right. Or like what I need to unleash or what I need, what needs to happen for this to come true and show me and get the guidance. Ask for it. Again, you're a tuning fork. You can get this guidance. It's really fun. Once you learn the two techniques, I turn into spirit and I tune it into my body. And I don't have to make decisions in life anymore. Literally, I ask and I get the answer. Thank you. Okay, that's the way I'm going, and it's that clear. It makes life way more easy. Yeah. Ah, Sloane, you are a magical human. Thank you for being my friend. I love you so, so, so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yay. I love you too. Thank you guys for tuning in. I love you.